Okay, welcome back. I'm working on this series of starting out. I got a great Facebook message from a guy who is starting out. He's been watching the new videos. Thanks a lot, Ira. Um, he wants, he's not sure whether he should be looking at professional schooling or where to go. He knows he's talented, he's doing work. How do I direct the rest of my career, my life? Really, really important question, and I totally respect you for asking it. Um, so I've got a whole series of talks here, including the last one starting out. This is going to be about the decision you have to make. This is a decision I've struggled with several times in my career. Um, Whether you are going to allow the market to shape what and how you do things, or whether you are going to do what you need to do in your own personal philosophy, in your own personal regard, irrespective of the market, and try to hunt down a market that may afford you the opportunity to speak what your voice is in your work, or whether the market makes no difference to you whatsoever. I think those are three aspects of what you have to decide you're going to do. Having said that, I'm all for experimentation because, again, it's part of your self education. So, excuse me. Um, What I mean by will the market lead you is are you going to look at the online galleries or the local galleries in your town or the art club in your town and see, man, everybody seems to love those pictures of flowers. Or everybody loved, oh, I did this fish once and everybody wanted a copy of this fish. I draw fish, I paint fish, I mold fish, I sculpt fish. Um, Hey, that may be your version of success. You may be just over the moon about that. And the fact that it's market driven is just a plus for you. It makes you popular. It gives you everything that you want, spiritually, financially, whatever. Um, Kudos. Great. What I'm saying though is, as a creative, at some point and at many points during your career, so don't think that because you solved it when you were 23, that when you're 33, it's going to mean the same thing. We evolve. If you're not, then you're not really working your art and you're not working your life, honestly. Um, so you're going to ask yourself, perhaps at some point, these fish are making me vomit. I have to do something else. You may, though, be very in love with the cash flow that it creates for you. So that's a conundrum, and you're going to have to solve it. Somewhere in your artist spirit, your heart, in Chinese they tie the mind and heart as one thing. Your shin, your inner core. I don't know, Western language, what to do with that, but somewhere, what drives you is important, and you have to decide for yourself. And you, like I said, you may have to decide this more than once in your lifetime. um, do I want to, everybody loves these things so much, should I expand what I do in fish, I'm going to keep using that example, and start putting them on seat cushions? Should I try to market them mass production style to Walmart? Or do I want to make one incredibly detailed, amazing um, picture, painting, sculpture, whatever, once every 6 months and market the crap out of that and sell prints of it and canvas of it and the original and books? And I want to contact publishers who make posters of it and market it all over the world? That's very market driven, and that would fall under the category of what I call commercial art. It doesn't ask a whole lot of the viewer except oohs and ahs, appreciation, in other words, Remember those three basics: medium, subject, content. So if you're commercially driven, it's probably medium and subject, or some combination of those two, and content is there are exceptions to that. Look at was it Gary Larson and his little comic strip? The content in that was pretty philosophical. It was a very hard look at our society, and micro societies within the society. The same thing you could argue that Dilbert does. That's art. That's art. It's commercial art. The medium is trademark. The subject um, are the elements that we come to know and see all the time, like The Simpsons. I'm dealing with a lot of animation here, but I want to make my point that just because it's commercial doesn't mean it's completely devoid of content, but the content is usually pretty straightforward, spelled out for you, and just requires the viewer to have a little bit of reflection on the situation. And that can be great. It can also be all the way to nothing. It can just be one-liners, and that's market-driven work. Um, if your goal with your art, if what soothes your creative spirit, if what answers your craving, your need, is to influence people, to say, these are my thoughts, these are my politics, these are my influences, and I want to hear people react to what I'm saying in my work. Not verbally, visually, or verbally, but I'm dealing in this series with visual art, so visual. What is that saying? Uh, does it make you immediately think of yourself in certain situations? Does it make you think of why you would make that face? That's not a finished work, by the way. That's just a start, but I just like to have something interesting behind me as I talk to you. Um, That's not market driven, that's you driven. And it has an agenda. And the content isn't so easily nailed down. It's more of questions and involvement, and it really asks the viewer to contribute. That's less market driven, and that's much more. Hmm, this is the area where I'm calling art fine art, because to me this is more engaging to the viewer. It's more about the that ether of art, the thing that happens between the viewer, the artwork, and the artist in different realms. You're going to have to make these decisions because they're going to affect the work that you do, how you market it, if you market it, and ultimately how you feel satiated in your life, in your career. So that's long enough on this subject. And moving on, really appreciate your listening. And the next one, I think I'm going to talk about education versus experience. Kind of talked on that a little bit now, but we'll get into it a little deeper. See you then.